Okay, for our first unit, as we start thinking about essay writing, let's start with a quick reminder. Again, I will, as I'll probably say repeatedly, I'm not your first English teacher. You've had this stuff before. So my job, it seems to me, is to try and emphasize those things that you already know, remind you of them, and let's work together and put them to work. So what does that mean? Wait a second. While everything is still blank, I want to emphasize three ideas I often repeat. Don't stop me if you've heard this one. The first, we write the way that we listen, not the way that we talk. A lot of times, students will try to tell me in the beginning of a writing class, well, that's the way I talk and that's the way that I write. I want to divorce you of a couple of things. One, I don't think any of us want to write the way that we talk. I know I don't. And I'm much less interested in how you talk to your friends than I am how you talk in your next job interview. That is ultimately my goal. Try to work on a professional tone, a professional format in your communications that reflects an occupational standard, something that your boss is going to expect and something that's going to help you gain the respect of those people you work with. Now, when I say we write the way that we listen, think about it a minute. We like talking and listening to people who get to the point. We listen for who did what to whom. So when I say be as precise as possible, whenever possible, write an active sentence with the subject being the actor doing the action, but we're listening for who, subject, did what, verb, to whom, in the most clear possible way. That's where I talk about being precise. We like people to tell us simply who, what, and when, rather than the never-ending story. Okay. That means in an essay, took me a second to find my slide, capture the reader's attention and thought process initially. That's what your introduction is for. Establish a single identifiable idea for your essay at the end of the paragraph. So I need a precise introduction that gets to a specific claim, and I need to support that in the rest of my essay. Again, don't ramble, and believe me, as a guy who loves the sound of his own voice, I know very well how easy it is to get off track and to start telling a story. That's probably not what you want to do in business writing. Jump ahead again. Oops. I'm trying to move around my thing here. Here we go. The hardest part of a writing class is revising, but don't skip it. Do not kill a good idea with sloppy presentation. What I mean is, I oftentimes in my developmental writing classes have people who haven't done particularly well with writing or maybe haven't had great experiences. They're a little intimidated by the idea that they're going to be coming in to practice their writing. And once they get good at it, once it becomes a drill, once it becomes second nature, revising suffers. Much like tying your shoes, it becomes easy. We don't even think about it anymore. I need you to think about it. So take time to be careful. Consider your spelling mistakes, commas, complete sentences. I think that's pretty common sense, but we'll review those from time to time. When we're writing in a project here, make sure that your thesis is available and that you can tell that you're supporting it. And be cautious of those simple errors that we all make. Finally, you'll hear me talk about concluding paragraphs. End where you start. When you're talking, you're taking your reader on a ride, bring them back somewhere that they're familiar with. Nobody likes to get lost. Now, for your purposes, I want you to think of that introduction. You'll hear me say this from time to time. I want you to approach writing to an audience in the same way a comedian steps out on stage to talk to the audience. The comedian has about 15 seconds, 20 seconds for the audience to think exactly like them, get their train of thought to be the same as the audience. If he or she doesn't do that, they lose the attention of the audience. They come across as simply weird. If you can't use your introduction and use a shared experience or image or something that gets the reader to think like you will lose them. More importantly, for this particular slide, setting up that image or that shared feeling is what you're going to come back to in your conclusion. It's extremely important that you don't forget end where you start. Come back to an image, come back to an experience, come back to a phrase that you started with, but nothing new at the end. Let's remember those quick reminders and put it to work when we get to our projects.